Sophia was known as the woman with the brightest smile in the room. To her friends, she was warm, dependable, and always ready to listen. But behind closed doors, she felt herself slowly unraveling. Nights became restless, mornings unbearable, and her once vibrant laughter turned into silence. This is the story of how Sophia fell into the deepest pit of depression and how she fought her way out, step by step, to rediscover purpose, joy, and faith. At 29, Sophia's life looked perfect from the outside. She had a good job, a cozy apartment, and a circle of supportive friends. But inside, she felt empty. Work felt meaningless, relationships strained, and her energy was fading fast. She couldn't explain it. Some mornings, the weight in her chest made it hard to get out of bed. She avoided calls from loved ones, plastered on fake smiles at work, and whispered to herself, "What's wrong with me?" But no one saw her silent fall. Depression had crept in quietly, and Sophia didn't yet have the words to name it. It came crashing down one rainy evening. Sophia sat in her dark apartment, scrolling endlessly on her phone, comparing her life to strangers online. The loneliness was unbearable. Tears streamed down her face as she whispered, "I don't think I can do this anymore." That night, Sophia realized she had hit rock bottom. It wasn't just sadness, it was despair. Her body felt heavy, her mind clouded with darkness. She thought of giving up completely. But in that lowest moment, one thought flickered in her mind. If I can't keep living like this, then maybe I need help. The next morning, Sophia called her doctor. Just saying the words, "I think I'm depressed," felt like both shame and relief. She was referred to a therapist, and for the first time, she sat across from someone who didn't judge, didn't dismiss, but listened. In those early sessions, Sophia cried more than she spoke. But slowly, she began to understand. Depression wasn't weakness, it wasn't failure, it was an illness, and healing was possible. Taking that first step didn't fix everything overnight, but it cracked open the door of hope. Recovery wasn't a straight line. Some days, Sophia felt like she was making progress. Other days, she sank back into the heaviness, wondering if she'd ever feel normal again. She journaled her thoughts, forced herself to take short walks, and tried mindfulness exercises her therapist suggested. But it was messy. Sometimes she relapsed into old patterns of isolation. Sometimes she canceled plans just to hide under her blanket. But little by little, Sophia started building coping tools. She wasn't healed yet, but she was learning to fight. For years, Sophia had pushed people away, convinced they wouldn't understand. But part of healing was relearning how to let others in. She opened up to her best friend, who simply hugged her and said, "I'm here." She joined an online support group where strangers shared stories that mirrored her own. For the first time, she didn't feel so alone. Slowly, Sophia rebuilt her circle, not with everyone, but with the right people who offered empathy, encouragement, and accountability. Sophia had grown up in church, but drifted away in her adulthood. During her depression, she questioned everything, including God. But in her darkest nights, she found herself praying, even when the prayers were just, "Help me, please." One Sunday, she gathered the courage to return to church. The message was simple. Your brokenness does not disqualify you from healing. Tears rolled down her cheeks. Sophia realized she wasn't alone in this fight. Faith didn't erase her depression, but it gave her strength to keep moving forward. Sophia began to notice progress, not in dramatic leaps, but in small wins. She woke up one morning and realized she hadn't cried the night before. She said yes to a friend's coffee invitation. She laughed, genuinely laughed, for the first time in months. These moments reminded her that recovery wasn't about becoming her old self again, but becoming a stronger version of who she was meant to be. Years later, Sophia could look back and see how far she had come. She still had hard days, but depression no longer controlled her life. She had purpose again, resilience she never thought possible, and compassion for others walking through their own valleys. Sophia's story wasn't one of perfection, it was one of persistence, of choosing healing even when it was hard, of choosing life even when darkness whispered otherwise. Sophia's journey shows that healing is possible, even from the lowest places. She went from rock bottom to a life filled with hope, purpose, and resilience. And you can too. If you are struggling, know that you don't have to walk this path alone. Higher Elevation Coach exists to guide people just like Sophia, people ready to rise above trauma, depression, and brokenness and step into healing and transformation. Your story isn't over. Like Sophia, you can choose to rise. You can choose Higher Elevation Coach.